thrilled to have right here a good friend from my NFL Network colleague set, as well as just life in general. I haven't covered him for all those years in San Diego and then the New York Jets, the college football and pro football Hall of Famer, part of NFL Network's 19 million hours of coverage on Sunday of Super Bowl 54. Good to see you, LaDainian Tomlinson.
Good to see you. 19 million, that's correct.
It is correct, right? I mean, I read that straight from the press
on.
release. 19 million hours of coverage. So now, Dion was here yesterday saying he's just doing the post. But you are versatile, right?
Yes.
You catch and run.
I do.
You can do.
And I can throw it, too.
And you can throw it, too. Yes. You have the option in you. So you're doing pre and post on Sunday.
I'm going to do some stuff, I believe, during your show.
Okay, good.
But later, not early in the morning. It has to be later. That's kind of our deal.
That's the option again.
Yes.
That's the option again. So you'll be showing up later. We'll be getting there, starting at. Our call time is the crack of dawn. We're on air at 9 a.m. right inside the Hard Rock, where I haven't been in that stadium. Last time I was in that stadium was the Cameron Wake-off safety on a Thursday night to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in overtime.
Yes.
I've never seen a walk-off safety before. The building's supposed to be.
How do you remember that stuff?
It's just, well, I mean, don't you remember plays of your career?
I do, but you're talking about a safety. That ended a game.
Well, have you ever seen a walk-off safety?
I have not, but I really didn't care.
Yeah, that play was crazy.
That was, yeah. The fact that Andy Dalton was throwing the ball at the 1 yard line at all.
In overtime.
Now you got to get on my TCU guy.
I don't mean to do that. I don't mean to do that. The rest of America just means to do that. It's one of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet, too,
yes,
Andy Dalton. No doubt about that. But yeah, don't you remember, like how I remember third quarter back in this game, back in that day? You remember that stuff, right?
Yeah, there are certain things games that I played in. Of course, absolutely.
So that's me. These are games that I broadcast.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
I just don't teardrop the microphone when I make a good line. You know what I'm saying?
You're a great broadcaster at that, Rich.
I appreciate that.
Great broadcaster.
I would be known if I'm ever as known as the LaDainian Tomlinson of broadcasters. I will take that because I lift my teammates. I lift my teammates.
Especially Michael. You definitely lift your teammates.
Out of all of them. The best running back in the game Sunday is which?
I think it's Raheem Mostert. I think just what he's been doing this playoffs.
What a story, right?
What a story, right? Perseverance, always believing in yourself that you had the talent to get it done. I mean, 7 different teams, but at the same time, when you think about it, he was the third string running back at the beginning of the year.
Right.
You had Coleman, you had Brady, and then, he was a guy that was supposed to just play special teams and kind of give them depth. But he flashed last year, if you remember. There were a couple games that Raheem Mostert had incredible games, and he displayed that speed and the power and all the things that we're seeing now. He displayed it a little bit last year. So I'm not totally shocked of the year that he had, but I think right now he's hot. And as a runner, when you're hot, things are, you feel like everything is going to go well out there.
Yeah, and Tevin Coleman started the NFC Championship game in which he set all those records, and we'll see if Coleman is going to be able to go on Sunday. He's desperate to make, obviously, this game, but it looks like it's going to be Mostert starting. And speaking of hot, he's hot going into the game figuratively, like where he apparently, I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones fan or you're
Not really.
Like Arya Stark reads off on a list of people who have slighted him, all the teams and the dates that he was cut by the teams. He said he reads those dates before he goes out on the field.
Wow.
And then he's viewing the opponent like these are the guys who are trying to take, cut me or took food off my table.
That's what fuels athletes, and most of the time, when you think about some of the greatest athletes, they're fueled by what someone told them that they could not do. Look at possibly the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. He was always fueled by that chip on his shoulder of being drafted late and nobody believing in him.
The Brady 6, even though he's got 6 in the case, the Brady 6 still pisses him off to this point where he wants 7. Did you ever have anything like that?
Well, yeah, if you remember, coming out of college, it was, he played at a small school. He ran the option. How fast is he? Can he catch the ball? Can he play in a pro-style offense? All those things, I took cutouts from those magazines and those those draft reports, and I put them on my wall, my senior year, so I can look at them. And that's what fueled me that entire season. And even if you go back to look at some of those old videos of me in college, look at the wrist tape, what I had written on my wrist.
What was it?
It was feed the family and underrated. Feed the family and then underrated. So that was the pressure that I was playing with when I was in college.
Well, the feed the family is the pressure. The underrated is the fuel, right? I mean,
that's a great way to look at it.
That's the fuel.
That's
the underrated.
No question about it.
Maurice Jones-Drew wore number 32 because he was a second-round pick, and he wore 32 for the number of teams that passed on him in the first round.
Wow.
I mean, there are so many things like that. I'm just wondering how much fuel there is to the fire for Mostert and so many of these guys that are playing in this Super Bowl have never been there before, and this is a big moment for them. And I wonder how much that's going to actually matter in the game if everybody's in that same boat.
I think it only matters in your preparation. I mean, because all the big games I've ever played in, it really matters in how you prepare for the game. But Rich, I'm telling you, once that ball get kicked off, you're so focused on the task at hand and getting the job done and really just doing everything possible to make sure your team wins.
Right.
That you don't have time to think about the pressure, of, man, this is the Super Bowl or this is a championship game, and so I don't think it matters when the ball kicks off. I think right now it definitely matters because you can't tell me that a guy that has been here before, like a Richard Sherman, is not prepared. He knows what to do during this week. He knows to get everything he has to get taken care of with family and friends early, right? And then he knows when to lock in and get ready for the game. These other guys are trying to figure it out because they've never been here before.
LaDainian Tomlinson here on the Rich Eisen Show, and then another guy that's got sort of that fuel to the fire is Damian Williams, the lead back of Kansas City. He's coming to the stadium. I mean, we were all talking about Tannehill's coming home potentially, but Damian Williams was a guy that the Dolphins were like, you know what? We got Kenyon Drake until he fell out of favor for whatever reason. They just kind of let him walk to Kansas City for hardly anything, and now he's coming back here to play in the Super Bowl. And again, maybe he's getting a police escort by our set right now. But how important is and how do you think the screen game is going to particularly play a role in this? Because we all hear about that front four of San Francisco and how they're going to try and hunt Mahomes. And I don't know if there's a better screen team in the NFL right now than what Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid cooks up on that field. I wonder what you think about that.
That's
subject.
A great point, Rich. And as the way you slow some of the greatest defenders down, especially on the defensive line, is the screen game. And you're right, Kansas City does a heck of a job running the screen game. But Damian Williams is a heck of a runner, and actually, he's my second best runner in the Super Bowl. He is a guy that doesn't need a lot of carries. He doesn't need a lot of touches to make an impact on this game. It seems as though every time Damian, throughout the course of a game, his touches are always effective, don't it? At some point, he's going to make a play for his team through the screen game or just a great run, a long run to really put the game out of distance for the Kansas City Chiefs. And here's the other thing. He's a great runner around the goal line if you think about how the Kansas City Chiefs score. Yes, they throw the ball and they, move the ball through the air from 20 to 20. But generally, they like to run the ball into the end zone, and that's usually Damian Williams right around the 5-yard line running the football. So I don't think it'll be with the screen game just about Damian Williams. Tyreek Hill, I believe they'll do some screens with Tyreek Hill and maybe even Mecole Hardman, So I just think the screen game is going to play a big factor because you have to keep that defensive line off balance and not allow them to just tee off on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I would definitely keep an eye on that screen game. You want to ask the poll question of LaDainian Tomlinson, Chris, because we've kind of touched around the edges of what you've cooked up today. What do you got over there?
Yeah, we're looking at XFactors, LaDainian. Who will be the biggest one in Super Bowl 54? 2 from each team on the offensive side of the ball. San Francisco, Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne for Kansas City, Damian Williams, Mecole Hardman.
I made him take Mostert out of there because I don't know if Mostert could be considered an X factor if he's the starting running back.
Yeah, that's
because you would have hopped on that if it.
So for San Francisco, tell me who you have
Kendrick
again.
Bourne and Deebo
Kendrick
Samuel.
Bourne and Deebo Samuel.
I think San Francisco has to be Deebo Samuel, okay? Because the way that they utilize Deebo Samuel, he's like the jack of all trades for them. And you always have to pay attention to the end arounds with Deebo, right? Because he creates big yardage in the run game just by the end arounds and the jet sweeps. And then, not to mention, a lot of times when Jimmy play actions, it's going to Deebo right across the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Deebo has a chance to be the X factor in this game without question. And then Kansas City, I just talked about it. I think it's Damian Williams.
So if you had to choose one out of those 4, who would you choose?
Oh, I thought it was one for each team.
No. 1 out of 4. You can only choose one.
Yeah, I think it's Deebo.
Yeah, he's not a Swiss Army knife. He's a Swiss Army hatchet.
yeah.
I mean, he is big. He is strong. He is a
He's
business
like a running
decision.
back.
He is a big individual.
Absolutely.
That comes downhill and hits you hard. I mean, if we're missing anybody, I don't know if he's going to be active, but LaShawn McCoy is on this team.
That's right.
And if he's up and he can go, I mean, he's a guy that I would put him on there, Chris, if we knew he was going to be active.
Right.
Boy,
we
I
need to
think
look
this
into
is the
that.
type of game that you're right, Rich. I think they need LaShawn because this is where he shows up, right? I can see him being active and then end up having a terrific game. A terrific game.
Like he could be, like if he is one of those guys up at around, what would that be, about 4:30, 4:35 Eastern when we get the ups and the downs. He was not up for the AFC Championship game. Andy would trust him, and he knows Reed, and he has been waiting for this moment his whole life.
Yeah,
everybody does. It's really amazing. LaDainian Tomlinson, a few minutes left with you here on the Rich Eisen Show. The word is that the Chargers have moved on from Phillip, or Phillip has moved out and he's moved on from them, or everybody's moved on from each other. If that happens, don't you think Phillip needs to be brought in for a press conference and a little bit of a farewell or a send-off that's fitting of all this? Or
well, absolutely. I think that happens, but are we sure Phillip wants to retire? See, I don't know if that'll happen until Phillip retires. Like when he retires, obviously.
Even if he's gone from Los Angeles?
Yeah, but I think it'll be kind of weird that he still wants to play, but you're bringing him back for a press conference to say, well, he's not going to play for us anymore, but he might play for a different team.
It just seems to be something off. You know what I mean? And I know it's an awkward situation, and that's what makes it seem that way. And at some point in the new stadium, number 17 will be on whatever Ring of Honor is in that stadium. I think there is no doubt. But it just seems to me.
I don't think. But
so when you went to the Jets, you didn't have like a farewell press conference
I did not.
in San Diego?
Well, actually, to that I did. Yes, I did. I did. That's right. I forgot all about it. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot
there you
all
go.
about it.
So that's what I'm saying. I think kind of Phillip deserves that sort of thing if that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I never thought about it. Probably, I'm sure that would happen then.
Okay.
Because I didn't even, I had to think back when you kind of jogged my memory that I did have a press conference leaving.
And how about what are the odds there will be a welcome press conference to the Los Angeles Chargers for one Thomas Edward Brady as the new starting quarterback of the Chargers? What do you think of that idea?
Hey, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of rumors going around.
What do you think? I'm asking one of the greatest Chargers of all time.
I think there's a lot of possibilities, Rich. Honestly, I don't think it's out the realm to say that Phillip will be coming back. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that a young quarterback could be drafted this year. the Chargers.
Do you know something that you're just sitting on right now?
I do not know anything.
Okay.
Why are you pressing me?
Because you are Mr. Charger that I know of personally. And I personally think Brady is exactly what the team needs right now. Brady is exactly what the team needs right now, going into this new stadium that everyone assumes is the Rams stadium only, because the Rams paid for it. The Chargers need to have an identity in that stadium, and they need to have 80,000 people in that stadium. And I think Brady coming to Los Angeles, again, I'll repeat it, my kids would demand a 12 powder blue jersey on the spot.
I get that.
And they would want to go and they'd want to see it.
Do you ignore Joe Montana, his comments and his advice to Brady?
Which is stay put. You know what? Obviously, yeah, I mean, you have to give credence to that. But if he wants to keep playing and something's going on in the New England area of which we're unfamiliar,
right, and
something that he has to decide by the first league year, does he want to go back to New England? And he does look over the steering wheel and he's like, you know what? I love Edelman and I love my guys. And I know that Belichick is the GOAT coach, and I know we're going to be in the mix. And I know that the rest of the division outside of Buffalo isn't going to come get us. And I know I'd have to be in Mahomes' division. And I know I'd have to move my kids. But that's Keenan Allen. And that's Mike Williams. And that's Hunter Henry.
A lot of
and
talent.
That's Melvin Gordon. And that's Austin Eckler. And that's Joey Bosa. And that's Melvin Ingram. And
Derwin
that's Derwin James. Who may be, out of all of them, the most impactful over the next several years. It's tough for me not to think about that.
That is tough. Yeah, no question. I think it'll be a very interesting offseason for us.
For the Chargers.
For the Chargers.
Or for us in the media talking about it.
No, for the Chargers.
Okay, very good.
Speaking as a Bolt.
That's why I'm All right, very good.
Sounds like you know something. I'm just saying.
LaDainian Tomlinson smiling like a Cheshire cat here. Before I let you go, it's game prediction time presented by our friends at DirecTV 4K. And a quick reminder that the big game on Sunday is brought to you in 4K HDR by DirecTV. Okay, LT, Kansas City or San Francisco, who do you have?
I like Kansas City. At the end of the day, I think Mahomes is special. And I know that San Francisco has a great defense and all that kind of stuff. And, number one against the pass and eighth in scoring and all that great stuff. But the special quarterbacks beat these type of defenses. And I think Patrick is that special. So, when you talk about San Francisco's running game to try to control the tempo of the game and the clock and all that stuff, one guy, to me, is going to play a difference. And that's Chris Jones in the middle of that defense. Because the way you stop zone runs is penetration. And when Chris Jones wants to play, there is nothing you can do about it. When he wants to get in the backfield, there is nothing you can do about it. He's that big, that talented, and that dominant. And I think at the end of the day, Kansas City will get more stops on San Francisco than San Francisco will get on Kansas City.
That's LT's very reasoned thought that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win. And I am been trying to hold my horses a little bit here because it's a marathon still. It's 5 days till opening for the kickoff. It's tough for me to not sit here and lose myself in the fact that this is Mahomes' moment. That this is it. To start.
Yeah, to start.
For him.
Yeah.
But the 49ers are an excellent defense.
No question.
Filled with tons of
That's why it's going to be fun.
I know. Tons of talented guys with Sherman on the back end smelling that second ring for a different team. And there's so much happening. But to me, just with Mahomes, it's tough to not just jump headfirst into that whole thing. Good to see you, LaDainian.
You too, Rich.
That's LT, everybody, right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.